Hey, and welcome to Smash Stories, the show where we trace the origin stories and try and learn from some of the best Smash players in the world. Hey, I'm Macca from Melee.co, and today we have a guest who has exploded into the Smash consciousness with his recent results at Pound 6, and that is Laudandus. So, hey Laudandus, thanks for coming on today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
No worries. So the goal of this segment is to really, trace your origin, find out a bit more about you for people out there. For me, the first time I ever heard of you was through Pound 6 and seeing your results there. And I bet there's a lot of other people as well who are kind of like, who is this Sheik player that is just beating everyone, beating Bladewise, Gravy, Nintendude, S2J. Where did he come from? What happened? And so let's go back to the start and what got you into Smash in the first place?
So in like 2007, 2008, I used to play with my high school friends. I was really bad forward smash roll Marth. That kind of player. In 2009, I went to college in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, actually. So I sort of went to the Midwest, and I got into the Smash scene there because I thought I was probably the best at my college, and I wanted to play with people.
With your forward smash.
And I met yeah, roll smash Marth. I mean, at that point, I learned how to wave dash, and so I could wave dash F smash Marth. It's even more powerful. And then I met this guy named Mark who had played with Lord Knight, who's used to be a good Marth, is now a BlazBlue player.
Yep.
And Mark was a much better Marth than me. And he totally destroyed me. But for some reason, my Jigglypuff, which I used to use as a joke, was beating him. So then the first event I went to was a draft crew tournament.
Okay. And
he drafted me onto his crew and told me I was a Puff player. Up until that point, I was a Marth player. And the first crew we played against, I beat everyone on their crew. It was 4v5. They had the best player at the school, and so they only got 4 people.
Yeah.
But our crew had 5, and I beat 3 of them. Then the best player at the school, a guy named Phil, who played.
So were you the first player up? And you went through 3 of them, got to the 4th player?
Yeah, I went through 3 of them. And then Phil beat me and then beat all 4 of my teammates. So our crew lost in the first round. But I felt like I had done my part. I felt like I was really good.
Yeah, well, you had definitely done your part for the team.
Well, it's like, he was, really looking back, he was the only vaguely decent player involved in the group battle. But at the time, I felt like, I'm really good. So I was a Puff player, which was good because I could only kind of wave dash and couldn't L cancel or short hop.
Yeah.
And I would practice doing those things during respawn time between matches until I learned how to L cancel and short hop.
Yeah, well, I did that a lot. Like, I'm a Peach player, and so between respawn, I would practice my wave dashing in that to try and get it down. Yeah,
that makes total sense. That's the Laudandus method.
Can I ask you?
I had no interest in.
Before we go on, I was recently, because obviously Hungrybox is doing very well, right? Everyone knows that. And so I was thinking about Puff and thinking about, okay, I'm a Peach main. So I was like, okay, should I switch to, I like floaties. Should I look at Puff as a potential main instead of Peach? And then I was talking to people and people were saying that you just get so much hate as a Puff player because people don't want to play friendlies with you. People hate playing against Puff. Did you have that experience as a Puff player originally?
Okay, so I was a super suboptimal 2009 Puff. I could only rest out of up throw.
Yeah.
I did not use back air. I used forward air. And I would occasionally use up air. But I wasn't really a back air Puff. I was not optimal enough for it to be annoying, I think.
Okay, yeah.
I think the problem people have with Puff is that she just kind of walls you and stalls the game with back air, and I really didn't do that at all.
Okay, so you didn't get the
So
hate.
I
You
didn't
feel the
get
hate.
much hate at all, no.
Yeah. So you went from that crew battle being a Puff player. What happened after that and how'd you progress?
So I pretty quickly established myself as the second best player at the school after Phil. The other good players at the time in 2009 were my roommate, who was a Falco, named Woody, who was kind of my rival, but it was sort of one-sided the whole time.
Yeah.
And Borp was around also.
I don't know who that is.
You know who Borp is?
No.
He's kind of well known now for being this no tech skill Sheik.
Okay.
He doesn't wave dash or L cancel, and he's ranked in Pittsburgh now.
Oh wow.
He sort of spams spot dodges and does funny things. At the time, that wasn't that unusual. Like I couldn't wave dash either.
Yeah. Well, when you're getting into the
I
game,
could wave dash, but I also didn't L cancel. It wasn't that weird.
And so, how did you find out about all of these events? At the college that you were at, like the crew battles and all these people who played Smash. How did you find all these people in the beginning?
We had a Smash club, and they just advertised. They had posters and stuff, and I saw them and went.
Okay, cool. Yep.
Yeah. This is not like the real Smash scene that I was involved in at this time.
Okay. It was just...
Although through them, I met the real Pittsburgh Smash scene, who had Voodoo Jin. Do you know who he is?
No.
Is he known now?
No.
He used to be the big notable Luigi. He inspired Abate to pick up Luigi.
Okay, cool.
And he and Abate are still both ranked top 3 in Pittsburgh, so it's 2 Luigis.
Wow.
In that region now.
Yeah.
Abate didn't play it yet at this time.
Okay.
2009.
So you kind of, from the Smash scene that you had at the college, you learned about the Smash scene in Pittsburgh and connected yourself with better players from there.
Yeah, with better players. And when I came back to NorCal over the summers, I would go to locals and get last. And so if you look back at results from 2009 and 2010 for NorCal locals, you can always find Laudandus in last place. And so I played in 2009 and 2010, kind of like that. After about a year, I had learned how to short hop and L cancel. And I felt like as Puff, I was not really playing the normal game.
What do you mean by the normal game?
A feeling a lot of people still have now, that Puff kind of plays a different game.
Yeah.
From the other top tier characters. And normal Melee looked more fun to me than Puff Melee.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the reasons people hate Puff so much. Like you're talking about the back air stalls and just the way you play the game is so different to whether you're playing against Spaceys or something like that, where it's so much faster, so much more aggressive.
Yeah, that's how I feel in general now as well. I think that Hungry Box is a very fun player to watch, but it's a different game than Melee, and it's not as fun to watch as Melee. I watch a lot of other games. I watch Smash 4 sometimes. I think that's fun to watch, but not as fun to watch as Melee.
Yeah. And so you think Jigglypuff is the equivalent of Smash 4, but inside Melee.
I think it's kind of similar to me, which I don't mean in really an insulting way.
But a lot of people have those feelings about Jigglypuff, like Hax is talking about how Prince Abu's the savior of Melee.
Yeah.
Yeah. So 2010, you were kind of feeling like you didn't like playing as Puff anymore. Yeah,
and Sheik is the character who I felt like I had to practice the least tech skill with.
So is that why you chose Sheik?
So
because you're like, Sheik's easier than Fox or Falco or anyone else?
Yeah, that was half of it. The other half is every tournament I played against Phil, the best player at the college, he'd use a character who I had not seen him play before and beat me with them. And I would never be able to lose to his last character. And I'd be like, oh, I figured out I've got him this time. And the last one he ever brought out against me was Sheik.
Yeah.
So he first beat me with Marth, and then the next tournament I beat his Marth, and he switched to Fox. And then I beat his Fox, and he switched to Puff, and Puff dittoed me. And then finally I thought I figured out how to beat his Puff, and he switched to Sheik. And it looked kind of cool. I'd never seen a Sheik before, basically. There are no Sheiks in the region, except Borp, who wasn't very good.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, I want to try Sheik so I can figure out how to beat her. And then I liked playing her. She didn't really take tech skill. I felt like I was playing the real game.
Yeah. And
I dual mained for a little while until I beat Sheik.
Until you improved in Sheik. And something that, I think about a lot, and I bet there's a lot of people out there, is how do you improve as a character? okay, so you chose Sheik. You said there's not a lot of Sheiks around you. How do you improve as a character when there's no one around you who can, I guess, show you the ways of your character? Like, I play Peach and there's no good Peaches in my region. So, like, how did you learn the character and get better at it with no one leading the way for you?
So there's two things about that. The first is 2009, 2010 was kind of a different era.
Okay, well, what is the...
Most people weren't really...
Yeah, because I've been around for a year, right? I'm what they call a doco baby, so I got into it because of the documentary. So a lot of people who'll be watching this also haven't been around since 2009, 2010, etc. So what made that a different era to now when we're in 2016?
So I was sort of not in a mainstream Smash region, right? I was not connected to the top players, really. So from my perspective, I didn't really know what tournament results were, right? I didn't have like a good sense of who was good. I didn't really go to big tournaments. Like I'd never met Mewtwo King or Armada or Mango.
Yeah, and so it wasn't like now where you can just follow the tournament on Twitch and watch the whole stream and you know who's winning and whatnot.
Yeah. And people wouldn't watch videos as much. I remember I couldn't beat my roommate's Falco with Sheik for a long time. And I went and found Amsa versus Zoo from back then.
Yeah.
Which was a big historic set at the time. And I watched it like interaction by interaction until I figured out how to beat Falco.
And you use that. So I guess like...
But that was the only time I'd ever done that. I never did that with Puff. Most people didn't do that.
So what
it made me really good against Falco.
Most people do to get better is just play at locals.
Just play. I mean, people weren't as good, so you didn't have to get as much better.
Yeah. Oh, you're frozen a bit there.
To be competitive.
Yep.
And I had a good intuitive sense for the game, I think.
Okay.
Like my punishes were super suboptimal. I definitely wasn't doing reaction tech chasing. You know, I would forward throw, run up, wait for a spot dodge, and grab them. Like that was my punish game. I would grab.
So has your progression through Smash over the last, what is it? It's now like coming into 7 years. Has it been like you've slowly gotten better, or have there been like leaps in your progression in terms of like, you know, going from 2009, 2010 to, you know, where you are today? Was it just playing more and more and getting better slowly over time? Or do you feel like there was things that helped you move forward faster?
Well, so in early 2011, I actually quit.
Okay.
I felt like I was in Pittsburgh. I wanted to get really good, but there was no one good around me. My roommate told me that like you have to travel a ton to get really good, and I didn't really want to do that. I wasn't that invested in it. It was like a pretty casual hobby for me. And I'd started playing League of Legends.
Yeah.
And I just decided I'd play League of Legends instead.
Yeah.
And I sort of stopped playing Melee.
Okay.
In 2011, and I kept playing League of Legends until 2013 when EVO happened. And at that point I'd been hearing a lot about I started hearing about Melee getting big again, and I'd started to really get tired of League.
Yeah.
I was really good actually. I'd gotten to 24th on the ladder in solo queue at the top of my League skill.
Yep.
And I think when I'd played Melee before, I was under the impression that top players were some kind of like invincible gods that I could never beat.
Yeah.
Right? It was like I could do okay. Is the call still working? It says there's a connection problem.
Yeah, no, it seems to still be working.
Okay. So I'd sort of, if I played someone I'd heard of, like Mango or PP, I went to Pound 5, so I got to play Mango and PP in pools, and I lost to both of them really bad.
Yeah.
I thought like that they were invincible. There's like no way I can beat them. Even if I take stocks, it's like really good. But playing League, you know, I get to play against the top players of that in solo queue.
Yeah.
And I pretty quickly determined that like top players are not invincible gods, right? They like rage and stuff, and I can beat them. And I'd like occasionally beat professional players in lane, and I'd be like, okay, yeah, this is fine.
Yeah, this is doable.
So this is doable. So in 2013, when I decided to come back to Melee, I was like, I could actually just become the best in the world at this game. Like I didn't try enough before, but I definitely can do it.
Yeah.
So I should just try to do it.
Yeah. So 2013, did you go to EVO in 2013?
No, I didn't. I remember hearing about it and being like, oh, Melee was at EVO. That's kind of cool. And looking at the results. and I saw that Wobbles got second. I was like, oh, that's weird. I didn't even know who that was. I think that's like an Ice Climbers, right?
Yeah.
And then when I started hearing later, I didn't get into Melee immediately right then. I started hearing more and more about it.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, well, I can start playing Melee again. I'm looking for something to do. I'd moved back to NorCal because I was done with college. I was like, oh, I'll start going to tournaments.
Yeah.
And so I started going to tournaments, and I was like way better than anyone people have never heard of before because no one had ever heard of me.
Yeah.
And so I was like this rapid, crazy up-and-comer guy for a little while. And in early 2014, there was a NorCal Arcadian.
Yeah.
The NorCal Unranked tournament.
Okay.
And that was sort of my big breakout. It was like I won the NorCal Unranked tournament. Everyone knew I was like the best unranked player in NorCal. I got ranked pretty soon after that.
What's an unranked tournament? Does that mean if you're part of like the NorCal Power Rankings, you're not allowed to enter this tournament?
No one who's ever been ranked could enter.
Okay, so if you've been ranked in the past, you're not allowed to enter either.
Yeah, if you've been ranked anywhere.
Okay, so how many people went to this tournament?
Hundreds.
Okay, so that's a lot.
We have one a year, the NorCal Arcadians,
Yeah.
for unranked players. Well, the first was in 2014. We've had two since then.
And then what's the benefit of winning this tournament? Do you get ranked as a result of winning it? Or is it just...
Well, probably.
Yeah.
Right. The best player from the Arcadian probably gets ranked.
Yeah, okay.
Because usually someone falls off the PR. Usually you're better than someone on the rankings.
And how many people do you have on your PR rankings at any given
20.
time? 20. Okay.
Although there were a lot more who could have beaten me if they were allowed to enter, but had been ranked in the past.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of NorCal players who are unranked from inactivity, like Lord,
Yeah.
who still weren't allowed to enter.
Yeah.
And that was a really fun tournament for me because I'd been having this exciting, fun NorCal career. I had to play in that tournament every unranked player I'd lost to. That was my bracket.
Yeah.
I had like an Ice Climbers who I'd lost to, and I hadn't known how to beat Ice Climbers. I had a Falcon I'd lost to. I was really bad at that. I had a Falco who I usually almost lost to, but I had kind of figured him out at that point already.
Yeah.
And then I had this Doc player, Reason, who's now ranked in SoCal.
Okay.
Or he might have fallen off due to inactivity. He's ranked in SoCal level.
Yeah.
And people were saying he was getting better really fast, and everyone said that we were going to be grand finals, and we ended up being grand finals. So it was a really exciting and fun bracket for me. I got to like study and figure out all these players. I like had to platform camp the Ice Climbers and figure out how to beat Falcon and then figure out the Doc matchup in the finals.
Yeah, well, that would be hard. I remember, like, I went to a tournament on the weekend, and a big tournament in Brisbane is like 40 people. If we get over 40 people, that's big for us. So I got through pools, and then I was in losers straight away because I was like one of the bottom seeds in in the pro bracket, and then I played a Mario player. And I couldn't work it out. I'd never played against Mario before, and I couldn't work it out mid-game. So did you have to work out Doc mid-game, work out how to beat him?
So I played a little bit with Froomed at that tournament, actually. When I knew I had to play a Doc, I was like, here, Dewan, play me in some friendlies. I don't know how much that helped. We played like 3 or 4 games, but I had stronger fundamentals than him, I think.
Yeah.
And that really was enough for me to win the set.
Yeah.
With just spaced aerials. I remember I figured out mid-set that he'd throw pills, and if I ran under a pill, I'd look at the pill trajectory, and if I ran under it, I remember he was always surprised by that.
Yeah.
And I figured out pretty quickly that he just didn't process that as a possibility, and I might do it. So every time he threw a pill, I'd try to run under it whenever there was a chance, and that always worked.
Yeah.
And I figured out a few other things mid-set. Yeah, it helps if you have stronger fundamentals than them too, and you just figure out a few tricks.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like,
you kind of get them off balance.
When you're losing, you then kind of assess the situation, go back to your fundamentals, and think, okay, how can I outplay them? Yeah.
Yeah.
So you won. So at this point, when you're going to the Arcadian, like you've decided to get back into Melee. Have you been practicing a lot? Have you been doing, tech skill grind, all of this sort of stuff? Or were you just kind of attending
I didn't do
tournaments and
tech
having
skill
fun?
grind, but I did do like tons of playing grind.
Yeah.
I really wanted to be good. So in 2013, I was at home and I lived in Berkeley, and I'd drive to everything. I'd drive an hour south to a tournament. I drove 2 hours to Sacramento every other weekend for their bi-weeklies.
Yeah.
And I played every single tournament there was. I tried as hard as possible the whole time. I'd like sit in the corner on a friendly setup trying to four stock whoever was there. Then if someone good sat down, I'd try to beat them. It was just like really focused, trying hard the whole tournament.
Yeah.
And if I lost, I'd like leave and go home.
You wouldn't stay around
like,
for friendlies or anything?
Losing. Yeah, I wouldn't. I'd never sat around and watched. No, I'd go home and I'd like try to get my roommate to play me, but he didn't want to play very often. He wasn't that good. And
yeah.
He wasn't that interested.
Okay, well, yeah, it's not that fun when like someone just four stocks you every single game. They're like,
yeah.
Like I remember watching an interview with Mewtwo King's mum, and that's
what I tried to do. So it's even worse.
I remember watching an interview with Mewtwo King's mum, and she would like play against him, and he would just like practice tech skill and like DI and stuff on her. And I'm like, oh, she's a dedicated mum to just sit there and do that and just get pummeled for like hours on end.
Yeah, the only time I remember that playing with my parents is when I was like in middle school playing Smash 64, and my dad just liked Yoshi's taunt. The only thing he figured out.
Okay, so 2013, you did the Arcadian. You're playing at a lot of tournaments. How were you feeling about, were you getting better at the time? Were you noticing getting better, or did you feel the frustration that a lot of people seem to have where they're placing the same at all of these tournaments over and over?
Oh, I was absolutely getting better. Yeah. I would beat people I'd never beaten before, like every tournament.
Oh, that's good. That's like super progress.
Because I played constantly. And if you play constantly and focus on trying to improve the whole time, I don't think you can avoid getting better.
Yeah.
Like, how is someone with half as much practice as you going to beat you? That's like way too hard.
Well, that's the thing. Over time, you're just going to eventually have more practice than them, better fundamentals, and overtake them.
Yeah, and it's better practice because it's more recent. Like, if I play someone who's been playing since 2005, a lot of the experience they have from like since then doesn't really apply as much anymore.
Yeah.
So I can pass them faster. Like, I don't have to actually match their lifetime experience.
Okay. Yeah. And so, what happened after that? When did you start going to larger tournaments and things like that?
So I remember I said when I started playing in like late 2013 that I was going to be the best in NorCal in a year, probably.
Yeah.
And it took longer than I thought. It's taken longer. I'm not there yet. And so I mostly just went to every local. I didn't really travel out of state until I didn't go to Apex 2014. I went to Evo 2014. I don't think that was my first out of state tournament.
Yeah.
I went to some SoCal tournaments before that.
How did you go in Evo 2014?
Okay, so I went to Evo 2014, and I actually thought my pool was really hard. It had Bizarro, and it had Birdo, who is a local NorCal Falco, who had been kind of my rival. He was like a rival up to this point. And I was kind of scared of him, and I kind of wanted to play him on stream. He's much easier on stream because he tries to be stylish, and off stream he tries to laser camp. So people always think he's really bad. Thought he was really bad at this time because he'd like get four stocked by Pew Pew twice, and he had this famous video where he lost to Pew Pew in like a minute and a half. He got four stocked twice on stream, but off stream he'd just be so good. And so I was scared of him, and I lost to Bizarro. We both lost to Bizarro, and then I ended up edging out Birdo in losers. And then I lost to Eddie Mexico.
Okay.
After that.
I don't know who that is.
So he's a Luigi. He's one of the best Luigi still. He's probably the second best Luigi.
Okay.
After a V. And so I lost to Eddie and Bizarro, and then I went to MLG 2014 as well, where I lost to Eddie Mexico again. And I also lost to... I don't remember. I never beat anyone good. In either of these tournaments. Not really. I beat Birdo, who's like a player I had local practice against. I was a really big choker.
Yeah.
For a really long time. I think by the end of 2014, I didn't go to that many nationals in 2014. and I never beat like anyone notable.
Yeah.
But by the end of 2014, start of 2015, I think I was pretty good. That was around when I think early 2015, maybe halfway through 2015, was when I was solid number 4 in NorCal.
Yeah. So who's above you?
Beginning of
Who's above
2015.
you?
The NorCal top 3 are the ones everyone knows about. Shroomed, SFAT, Pew Pew.
Okay, yeah.
Although I think this next ranking I'm going to be above Pew Pew.
Okay, so you're getting there.
I'm getting there, slowly.
Still got a bit to go to get to number 1.
And I was going to be above Shroomed until this weekend at the Summit. He beat SFAT.
Yeah, he did well at the Summit, didn't he?
If he didn't have that win, I had a better resume in the last 4 months than him. But since he does now, he's going to be above me as well. But so at this point, I'd established myself as number 4. Pretty solidly. I was finally able to beat Homemade Waffles, who'd been a really big obstacle to me for a really long time. I lost to him probably like 15 times, and I kept trying to figure it out. The first times I played him, it was close because he played Falco, and I was good against Falco. Then he started playing Fox, and I was bad against Fox, and he beat me like 15 times, and it wasn't close. And then I figured him out, and as soon as I figured him out, I felt like it was over. Like after the first time I beat him every time.
Yeah. So as soon as so is that the same with other players that you play against? Like as soon as you figure them out, you feel like you've got it covered?
Yeah. Sometimes there's a little bit of inconsistency.
Yeah.
But I've lost to Waffles probably 3 times since I started beating him like a year ago.
Yeah.
But I usually win now.
And so what goes into figuring someone out? So when you're playing against someone, like what are some of the things that you would figure out against another player and then you would exploit?
Yeah, well, so I'm good at finding holes in players' games. I think especially consistent holes in their games.
Yeah.
Because for a lot of my childhood, I would play against my friends and I wanted to always win. And I'd sort of find problems they had and not use them unless I needed to. Like, make sure I could win every game even if I wasn't focusing. So and I try really hard not to do that now.
So you'd save the holes for at the end of the game in case you were behind or something. Is this so they don't figure it out? Is that?
Yeah, I think that was why. I was not a good kid. But I do that. But now I think I'm still kind of good at that. And I try to help people now because I know that I want to win on a world stage, not on a local stage. So I want better practice.
Yeah.
But it's sometimes hard. Like it's sometimes hard to get Homemade Waffles to take advice. And there's a few other players are occasionally like that.
Yeah. Some people don't want advice, do they?
Yeah, they don't. And when I figure out consistent game plans against local NorCal players, I feel like a lot of them are very stagnant.
What do you mean by that? Do you mean they consistently play the same?
They consistently play the same. They don't really improve that much.
Okay.
Most of them, outside of the top 3. And the ones who do improve are mostly the ones I play with. So friendlies.
So what do you think differentiates someone like yourself who has improved quite quickly over the last few years versus someone who tends to get to a certain point and then just stagnate and stay there and not really get any better?
A lot of the players who are really stagnant, I find, are the kind of people who, when they lose, say, "Oh, I had a bad day," and when they win, say, "Oh, I had a good day."
Okay, so they're just...
Which I'll, almost never admit that.
So what is your mental approach? Like, when you win or when you lose, what do you, take away from it? What do you think about it?
Well, I think it's also important to be flexible about what you take away from it. In addition to blaming yourself.
Yeah.
I think the risk of saying I had a bad day is so large that I usually won't say it even if it's true.
Okay.
So because I never know when I could be slipping into that as a defense mechanism.
Yeah.
So if I lose to someone, it's always how can I beat them? What could I be doing better? And it's also important to not fall into one way of looking at what I could be doing better, right?
Okay, so elaborate on that because I don't really understand what you mean by that. Not looking at it the same way.
So it's not just you can look at what tech skill you messed up. If I'm losing and feel like I'm playing bad, if I'm losing to someone I don't understand why, a lot of times I'll try to ask them what they think is going on. I'll try to explore, like, look at videos. If we can get recorded sets, that's great. And just try to analyze in as fine detail as possible. Like, actually literally go through and write down, like, oh, I moved forward and he moved forward and I moved back and he moved back. Like, why is he hitting me? What's going on? What's going wrong?
Yeah. So you go into that in-depth analysis of like
Yeah.
almost frame by frame, basically, of the match.
Yeah, I do. I've done that a number of times.
Yeah. I have heard a lot of people say that that is one way to get better extremely quickly, is to do that, go through that in-depth analysis. And most people don't do it because it's too hard and time consuming.
Yeah. But it's super foolproof, right? Like, there's no way to go through frame by frame and not notice a lot of your mistakes.
Yeah. Well, I'm
You
at the
kinda
point now, I try and analyze myself, but I make so many mistakes that it's like, it's hard to do. So I just try and pick up the biggest mistakes that I make and focus on that.
At your level, I think it's more key to get ideas into your game than to find errors in it.
What do you mean ideas? Like
Like
approaches you could do?
So for the first year I was playing, I said 2013 to 2014, I didn't do a lot of analysis. I just played as much as I possibly could and tried to, because you just don't have, you'll just run into a situation, you've just not thought about it, right?
Yeah.
You just want to have some kind of plan in every situation, and then you can refine your plan. But until you have one, there's no point in refining it, right? Like, you need some kind of ideas to fix.
Yeah. So do you mean like you need a plan of how to approach each character that you're fighting against?
Well, let's say you've never played before and you land a Sheik grab.
Yeah.
Right? You don't know what to do. And then if you land, and then it gets into finer detail. Like, you're not sure what to do if you land a Sheik grab at 10 or 20 or 30 or 40% at different characters.
Yes.
And if you watch yourself play and you don't have an idea in, like, most situations, you're mostly just going to do nonsense.
Like non-optimal things. Is that
non-optimal? It's not even non-optimal. It's just not even a good idea. Like, there's no thought. There's no.
Well, like, sometimes I will get like a grab as Peach against a Fox at like 0%, and then I'll just forward throw, and like nothing, happened.
Yeah. That kind of thing is what I mean, right?
Yeah.
And like, I talked a lot to one of my friends who plays Go, the board game.
Okay.
Who's very good at it, about how to improve. And he said that what they say is the first thing you should do if you want to learn Go is lose 1,000 games.
Yeah.
And I think that's like absolutely the case in Melee, maybe even more so. Because you just need to be able to process all the information that's going on and move and do things and know what's even good.
Yeah.
Kind of. What's a good situation, what's a bad situation. Where you can refine your sense of what's right and wrong.
Yeah.
And I see some players now who are picking up the game, and I think they're going about it pretty wrong. They're trying to really have an established game plan, when I think they haven't lost 1,000 games yet.
Okay, so what do you think new players like myself should be doing instead? So instead of like trying to create a game plan against someone, should, I guess, apart from just playing lots and lots and trying to subconsciously learn what's the best decisions, like what sort of approach should newer players be taking to advance faster?
So I think tech skill practice is really good. Honestly, I think the fastest way to improve if you didn't care about having fun would be to practice tech skill 8 hours a day for like a month before you even started. But you're not going to do that, so it's fine to just practice tech skill in-game against people.
Yeah.
And then just focus the whole time with as open a mind as possible and just try things.
So what do you mean by that? Like, what do you mean by focus, and what do you mean by trying a whole bunch of things? Like,
so in-game, it's easy to autopilot, right?
Yeah.
And you absolutely don't want to do that. I think autopiloting makes you worse. Playing while autopiloting, because it reinforces habits and doesn't do anything good.
Okay, so define, because a lot of people, like I find I do this myself, but then how do you get out of like autopilot where you're just kind of playing and not really thinking about the decisions that you're making? How do you generate that focus to actually think about, because the game's so fast, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, how do I often like...
Well, you're going to be autopiloting a lot of things because you can't process everything at once. But you just want to be as keyed in as possible, looking for as many patterns as you can find.
Okay.
And you're not going to find everything, right? Like at first when you're starting to play, you don't want to you can't understand everything that's going on at first.
Yeah.
You just want to find things and try to make some. And eventually, once you've made sense of enough things, the game as a whole starts to make sense.
Yeah, well, that's what...
That.
I feel like that's happening with me where, like, I would play against someone and I'd find out, one thing or in one scenario, and kind of over time I'm piecing different scenarios and different characters together to, like, form a whole game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it starts to slowly make more and more sense. Like, a dash dancing fox starts to look less and less like a blur. the more you play. Like a Falco wave landing around on platforms starts to look more and more like a Falco and not like a blue shape that's moving really fast and it's going to hit you.
Yeah. Well, and then you start to understand the spacing and stuff as well, like a dash dancing Captain Falcon, how far they can actually get you with an air.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it starts to... You want to view things in as much detail as possible. Like, the more abstract a hitbox or a situation or a spacing is, the worse you can be at it. Right? Like, the more specifically you understand something, the more you can outplay someone in that situation.
Because you understand what the hitbox is and where to avoid it? Is that what you mean?
Like, if you only sort of know someone's coming towards you with Cheek and don't really know what's going on, you can kind of put an F tilt there, and that's about the best you can do.
Yeah.
But if you know they're going to put a nair at your feet, you can dash dance grab that.
Yeah.
Because you understand the fox's hitbox and lag, and you don't just see him as a huge monster that's going to hit you, right?
Yeah.
And if you're standing outside of like a move, if you understand exactly the distance it is, you can get like a punish on it, and you can just stand there to avoid it.
Yeah.
But if you don't precisely understand what's happening, you can't like attack, right?
Yeah, well,
and you
might
can
make the
crouch
wrong
cancel
decision.
a late nair, but not an early nair. There's all kinds of stuff like that.
Yeah. And so, okay, let's go back to you and your story. We've made it to Evo 2014, where I think you lost to Bizarro, and you lost to...
I lost to Bizarro and not Birdo. I lost to Bizarro and Eddie Mexico.
And Eddie. And then, what other major tournaments have you been to since then?
So I went to MLG 2014, where I lost to Eddie again and someone else in winners who I don't remember.
Would you talk about that? Yeah.
And I went to a tournament in SoCal, Pat's House 2, where I lost to all kinds of people. I lost to Hugs and Westfalls. I almost beat Westfalls at that tournament, even though I was, awful, as is traditional. I kind of had a rivalry with Tappicants at the time, actually.
Okay.
I was, at that tournament and a few later, I think in both of our opinions, clearly better than Tappicants.
Yeah.
But I would choke every time we played.
And so he would beat you every time, even though...
And he kept telling me to stop choking. He was on my side. He wanted me to get better, because he thought I was better than him. He wanted me to beat him. And I kept choking. I remember the set where I finally beat him, he was telling me the whole set, like, oh, don't choke. Come on, you can do this. While I was playing him. But that was much later.
Yeah.
And that sort of started a pattern. I had real serious nerves issues in tournament. I think from early 2015 until Pound, there wasn't a single tournament where I didn't let some big win slip away from me.
Yeah.
And I think I would have become nationally known from any of those.
And so do you think that, like, that's what held you back? It wasn't your skill as a player, it wasn't your tech skill or anything, it was just like your mental attitude and the nerves at tournaments?
So it's hard to say, right? Because your skill, how good your results are is the sum of everything.
Yeah.
And I've gotten a lot better since early 2015, for sure. Like a ton better. But at the same time, the biggest improvement I've made to my tournament performance since then is the choking thing. By quite a bit. Like I've had, over the course of that year, I had sets I could have won against AMSA and S2J and Lucky and Westballs and Pew Pew and SFAT and Shroomed and just all these top players. And Silent Wolf, I had a last hit, last stock set at Paragon LA again in 2015 against Silent Wolf that if I'd won, it would have been like, oh, he's really good, but I didn't win, so no one cared. And that just kept happening.
Yeah.
And so that was the biggest thing I had to get over.
So, yeah, well, I guess that explains why a lot of us have never heard of you up until Pound, because you got so close to beating these good players. You were on kind of equal footing in terms of skill with them, but you would just lose. And so,
just barely.
Yeah.
And my bracket at Pound was kind of similar to the Arcadian, where it's a whole bunch of players I've choked against before.
Yeah.
So the weekend before Pound, I went to SoCal. And I went to a Mayhem because I said, I choke even worse if I haven't been to a tournament recently. All my good performances, kind of good in the past, have always been when I was going to a lot of tournaments right before.
Yeah.
I think tournaments right now, locals, are not very useful for me in terms of getting better.
Do you mean in
I don't like
terms
to go
of
to them.
like your skill level, or in terms of your mindset, or both?
Yeah, like if I want to improve my skill level, tech skill practice at home and video analysis and playing long friendly sessions is much better than tournaments, I think.
Okay.
But in tournaments, I get my tournament mentality up, and that has to be in shape for a big tournament.
Yeah.
So my best tournament performances were EVO 2015. I did all right. I got 25th. Right before that, I got double eliminated by Chudat at CEO.
Yeah.
Because he got late registered into my pool. Beat me in winners, lost to Plup, beat me in losers. And I was really upset because he got late entered into my pool, and my seed was Plup.
Yeah.
And at the time, I was pretty sure I could beat Plup.
Yeah.
Because he was bad at Sheik Dittos, and I was a chain grabber. And I money matched him after, and I won the first 2 games. Then he came back 3-0. So it was best of 3 in tournament. So I still believe I could have won that. I don't think I could win it now. I think he's a lot better at Sheik Dittos, but I still think I could have won that one.
Yeah.
But I got whooped by Chudat. I didn't know what to do against Ices. Then Evo, my pool, I beat Swedish Delight in winners 2-0. And then I lost to Chudat.
Yeah.
I thought my pool was really good because I was going to have to play Kirby Kaza, and I was really confident in the Sheik Ditto.
Yeah.
But he lost to Chudat, and then I lost to Chudat, and then Chudat got 7th at that tournament. And then in losers, I had to play Chudat again after beating a bunch of other people. And I lost to him. I got 25th. And then at Genesis, where I'd also been going to a lot of tournaments, I also got 25th. I lost to a Puff from the Midwest, 4%.
Yeah. Which
I think I'm kind of shaky in the Puff matchup right now. Although I did beat Prince Abu, who I think is shaky in the Sheik matchup. And then at that tournament, I beat Swedish Delight 3-0 in losers again.
Yeah.
At this point, I always wanted to run into Swedish Delight because he was a free win. We'll get back to that later.
Yeah, we'll need to touch on that, won't we?
And then I ran into Duck, who beat me. And I choked against Duck. It was last hit game 5, which I've never won a last hit game 5 set in my life. So I thought, okay, So I kind of, at this point, started to really sit down and think about choking, because it was really clear at this point, it's definitely the issue holding me back, is getting nervous in tournaments. And I think the reasons for it are, first, I would want to dumb down the game when I play against someone, because I feel like I could mess up.
What do you mean by dumb down the game?
I don't want to mess up. So I want to only do simple things.
Okay.
Like, I remember I was playing against Toph once at a local, one of the few times I've lost to him. And I was up 2 stocks to 1 the last game on Stadium, and I thought, okay, well, if I start just crouch cancel down smashing, he'll probably die before he finishes killing me. And I don't want to mess up, so I'm just going to go with that.
Yeah.
And his punish game on Sheik is really good, and he killed me twice before he got crouch cancel down smash. He just saw me down smash, dodged it, killed me.
Yeah.
Did it again. So I think I do that a lot, although I don't do the down smash thing anymore. I do that kind of thing. I'll go, okay, well, I'll just space really far away, always bail on every close situation.
Yeah.
And, if I'm outplaying someone, I want to be playing them in close situations. I don't want to be rolling away, because there's only so much of a skill cap to, the try to get grabs and play really far away game. I feel like it's really simple.
Yeah.
And if it happens against someone, they don't have to be that good to outplay me in it.
Yeah.
Right? A Fox can just shoot some lasers, nair in at a random time. It's kind of hard to deal with that.
Yeah. So
even from a Fox who's not particularly good. And so I really realized I have to play in close situations. And I really realized that I have to trust myself to be able to do that.
Yeah. So you kind of decided that I'm going to force myself into these situations where usually if I'm ahead or if it's last stock or something like that, you would pull away, try and play safe. You're like, okay, I'm going to be more aggressive. I'm going to go after it.
Yeah, the simple way to say it's like you have to just try to outplay them the whole time.
Yeah.
I heard someone say on Smash Summit commentary, I think, that people sometimes stop trying to outplay them and start trying to kill them. I think that's like a really good summary. You like start throwing a lot of kill moves.
Yeah, you're just trying to get that one kill.
Yeah, trying to make the situations, simple ones where you could maybe just randomly kill them. Yeah. But that's not what I want. I can outplay these people. I just have to do that.
Yeah. And so you started analyzing that, and that kind of led you up to Pound, where you got the good result. Is that where you feel like you did?
Yeah. So the week before Pound, I went to SoCal. I went to a Mayhem.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, I'm going to apply this stuff. I'm pretty sure I know how to not choke now. I know I have to go to a tournament before a major, otherwise I'll definitely choke. So I'm going to go to Mayhem and choke there and then do well at Pound.
Did you choke a major?
At Mayhem? Oh, absolutely. Definitely.
Yeah.
I got to winner semis. I had to play Lucky. I was so happy. I'm like, oh, Lucky, this will be easy. I think he's god-awful versus Sheik compared to the other foxes of his level.
Yeah.
He gets destroyed by Plup. He gets destroyed by Shroomed. He's never beaten Mewtwo King, I don't think. Maybe he has, but not very much.
Yeah.
Every other top fox beats Mewtwo King game 1 because he goes Sheik. Then Mewtwo King beats them with Marth.
Yeah.
I don't know why Mewtwo King's still playing Sheik. He always loses. Lucky's the only fox that loses to the Sheik. So I was like, okay, I've totally got this against him. And sure enough, game 1 I lost, but I was so confident that I was still sure I was going to win. And I did win game 2. And then game 3, I was up 2 stocks to 1, and I just felt myself lose it. It wasn't even the same problems I'd had before. It was just my hands were shaking, and I just couldn't keep it together.
Yeah.
And the rest of that tournament, my losers run was super scary. I almost choked versus everyone, but I kept it together, and I did get 3rd.
Yeah.
I beat Connor and Kalamazoo, and then SFAT lost to Lucky in winners. And I've never beaten SFAT in my life. I can't do it. He's too good versus Sheik. I need to get better to beat him. It's not a matter of choking against him.
Yeah.
And he just 3-0'd me, and I got 3rd. And then he beat Lucky in losers.
So you choked against Lucky, and then you did a run through losers where you kind of choked, but you held it together just enough.
I held it together.
By.
Yeah. And by the time I played SFAT, I think I have to be at 100% to keep it close with him. And I was exhausted from choking so much at that point. And even at 100%, I've never beaten him.
Yeah.
So that was not my day to beat SFAT.
So that was a write-off, basically.
Yeah.
So let's talk through.
So I went home and Shrooms told me.
No, keep going.
I went home and Shroom told me, if you're choking, I was up 2 stocks to 1 in game 3 against Lucky, and he said, if you're choking and you respawn, just sit on the spawn platform and breathe till it comes down. And I think that changed me from getting 33rd at Pound to getting 5th. that piece of
just
advice.
That one piece of advice is just
because
having a break.
The handshaking thing is something. Usually, my mentality is what had collapsed, but I think I'd fixed that, and I just needed to get physical nerves under control. And sitting and breathing on the platform totally fixed it in one tournament.
Yeah.
It was a small issue.
Well, I guess when you're stressed, you don't breathe as much as you probably should. And so taking a break to breathe on platform probably helps.
And just close your eyes and sort of refocus, stop being nervous. It's good.
Yeah. And so then that led you, I guess, into Pound, which is like your major breakout tournament for, a lot of people learnt about you from there. How did that event go for you? Like, let's talk through it a bit. People want to get into the head of Laudandus and what happened at that tournament.
So I had kind of a crazy experience at that tournament. In my room, so I had a terrible sleep schedule leading up to the tournament. I was like, I'll fix it, but it was crazy and awful. I was like going to sleep at 5 a.m. and stuff. I was like, I don't know. And then at Pound, the day before the main bracket started, I just was exhausted out of nowhere for no reason at like 10 p.m. and I just went to sleep.
Yeah.
Woke up at like 6 a.m. feeling totally refreshed. And I walked to the tournament, which was like half an hour away through this freezing wind.
Yeah.
Just because none of my roommates were awake. I didn't want to take an Uber. Tournament didn't start for 6 hours, so it was fine. And I was just like, and I remember on the way there, so I have this terrible fear of heights. And in Virginia, there are these like overpass bridges you have to walk over all the freeways to get there. And I was like so scared walking across them, but I was like, if I can do this, I won't be scared in the tournament. And so I walked there, and I think a big part of the early rounds actually was that I was warmed up.
Because you'd been there for 6 hours or something before the event.
Before the event. So I was like playing people on a bunch of different setups. I had to play Ryan Ford and then Westballs. You know who Ryan Ford is?
No. I know who Westballs is, obviously.
Yeah. Ryan Ford is Kirby Kaze's old training partner.
Yeah.
From Canada. He's a Fox who's kind of fallen off in the modern era, but he's still so good versus Sheik.
Yeah. We've had a lot of practice against Sheik.
He has a lot of practice against Sheik. It's like his best matchup. There was a day after Genesis in NorCal when he beat me all day, the whole morning. Yeah. And I wasn't sure if it was because I was bad in the morning and I was playing bad that whole session, or if like he was actually just going to body me.
Yeah.
I never know with one friendly session like that, because I have a lot of very weak friendly sessions where I like don't play well the whole time. So I was like, I don't know, I'm not sure. And I was kind of scared going into it, but when I saw that he just kind of stumbled into the room at noon, I was like, okay, I can beat this guy. And I bodied him.
Was he hungover or something?
I don't think he was hungover, but you can't get up first thing in the morning and play Fox.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not possible.
Yeah.
So he was just playing awful. So that was a free round where I thought it was going to be a really big challenge, actually.
Yeah.
I like JV Ford him. Whereas I think I'm scared of him still if I run into him again. Like,
yeah.
Well rested and more done. And then Westballs I actually was not very scared of. So Westballs, I'd watched videos of Swedish Delight playing him. And the way Swedish Delight plays that matchup makes it look like Westballs is easy to beat with Sheik.
Okay. You
just sort of wait in the corner. Westballs has some bad habits in a few specific situations that I don't really want to go into, so that I can beat him again.
Understandable. Yeah. Don't want to share them with the world.
And Swedish told me all about those. I messaged him and I was like, "How do I beat Westballs?"
Yeah.
And he said if you just wait, Westballs comes to you over and over. He just throws tons of hitboxes. And I expected, from watching the Super Nebula set, I expected Westballs to go Fox game 1. Because I think he's aware of his weakness in the Sheik matchup, and he blames it on Falco.
Yeah.
Because his Falco got whooped by Swedish at Big House 5. Then at Super Nebulous, he tried Fox against Swedish, and he was so confident he kept going for 3 games.
Yeah.
And he only tried Falco when he was down 2-1.
Okay.
So when I sat down to play Westballs, I was like, okay, it's going to be Fox. But Swedish assured me his Fox is very bad. And it was not hard to beat his Fox. Game 1. Then he switched to Falco. And on Yoshi's, I had to play him. And he has some stuff I wasn't ready for, like some really good SDI things. And I just wasn't able to handle him in close quarters, and I lost that game. And then I was like, oh, I could lose, but I kept it together. I thought about my mentality so much, I totally had it. And game 3, I just waited for him, and he kept running into me, and it's not that hard.
Yeah.
I think I kind of convincingly whooped him game 3.
Yeah.
I remember I was up 3 stocks to 1, and I died. And I was like, okay, sit on the platform. And I did sit on the platform the max time, and then I whooped him, and I remember standing up, and SFAT and I are like pretty good friends, and he'd been cheering for me a lot to beat Lucky at the Mayhem the previous week.
Yeah.
And he was like behind me, and I remember I hugged him and all the other NorCal people, and they were like, you didn't choke. I was so happy. And so then and then I was like, oh, I have to play Swedish next round. That's not even hard. And then I'll like beat someone else. And so I was wrong about who was going to win every set involving me for this whole tournament.
Yeah. So what happened happened against Swedish? Because you were saying that, you thought it was easy, you always beat him, and then like he double eliminates you in this in this tournament.
So there's a few things I think happened. I think first I've been very complacent about my Sheik matchup. Because for a while now, I've been kind of the Sheik Ditto master. Like, even though I choked against every other character, I was still winning every Sheik Ditto tournament that I ran into.
Yeah.
So I hadn't been playing it at home. I hadn't been practicing it. I'd like play a lot of Fox against other Sheiks. I'd be like, oh, this is fun. And so I think had been thinking about it. I think he watched. I'm not sure if he went and watched me beat him, but he had some better ideas. I think his spacing and patience, which are really important in that matchup, have always been better than mine.
Yeah.
But his punish game, edge guarding, and like handling of close situations in general was a lot worse.
And so what happened?
And I think he fixed a lot of those things. He had like a better idea of what to do in close combat. And so then his spacing became the deciding factor.
Yeah.
And I think that beat me. And I think I kind of underestimated him in the winners set.
Yeah.
Which is why I still thought I would win in the losers one, but I still didn't.
Yeah.
Because I think the other factors were more important.
What was it?
And so ultimately he just outplayed me.
Yeah.
And
He
I
beat
need more
you. What did he
practice in
beat you?
Sheik
2-0 and then 3-0, didn't he?
Yeah, he might beat me. He might beat me at that tournament, which changed our tournament game count from 5-0 to 5-5.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't know. That was crazy to me. It was the one person everyone I was like talking to expected me to beat. I didn't beat him. I beat everyone else. So then I went to losers. That was a long time later. I went and got lunch and stuff, like reveled in my Westfall's defeating.
Yeah.
But I knew it wasn't that big a deal because like everyone beats Westfall sometimes.
Yeah.
You know, he's kind of known for losing to anyone.
And so that pushed you into
like
losers.
It wasn't just inconsistency. Like I'm pretty confident I play him again.
I was just going to say, that pushed you into losers into, top 16 round. Were you stressing?
Yeah.
Were you, like, getting the tournament nerves?
Well, I knew I had to play Bladewise, and I was kind of happy about that. So I 2-0'd Bladewise at the Big House 4 a long, long time ago.
Yeah.
When my best matchup was Peach. Because I'd played a ton with Azusa, who's a NorCal Peach, who I think is probably one of the best Peaches in the world at the Sheik matchup.
Yeah.
Because his training, he learned against me and Shroomed, basically.
Yeah.
And when I first showed up in NorCal, he was kind of my rival for a long time. And he really improved at the Sheik matchup, trying to beat me and Shroomed. And I really improved at Peach, trying to beat him. So at Big House, I whooped Bladewise.
Yeah.
Then I choked to Bladewise at Paragon LA. And I was like, oh my god, I hate this choking. I can't believe I lost. I shouldn't lose to Bladewise. I'm not going to lose to Bladewise. And I was just like, I was confident of that one. And I, sat on the platform, didn't have bad nerves. So I kind of beat him. I was ready for that.
Yeah.
And then I had to play Gravy because he beat Axe.
Yeah.
And I am kind of known for hating the Falcon matchup.
Yeah, I remember I was watching, oh god, the name has slipped from me. The Toph and Scar show when you were on it.
Yeah.
And yeah, you were whinging about the Falcon matchup.
Yeah. So I had to play Gravy. I was like, oh god, he's like a Southern Florida Falcon. I know they're better than S2J versus Sheik, and I choked to S2J like 7 times.
Yeah.
So I don't think I can beat him. He was like, we were on the warming up setups, and I was warming up with Captain Smuckers, and he was warming up with Drugged Fox, and Captain Smuckers was like, I don't think I'm as good practice as Drugged Fox. I was like, don't worry, dude, I'll have this. And so then I sat down to play him, and game 1, I got 4-stocked. You've seen that set. I described it on the Scar and Toph show. I realized later on the Scar and Toph show that I treat every Falcon aerial as having infinite range.
Yeah.
And so he just pivoted and did aerials back and forth. And from my perspective, it's like Falco lasers are covering the whole screen. I can't do anything.
Yeah.
And I just got whooped. And then game 2, whenever it's easy for him to corner me because I always like retreat and I'm scared against Falcon. And I started just camping the ledge when he forced me to the corner until he let me back onto the stage. And that really fixed a lot of my problems because he is not good around the ledge.
Yeah.
I normally try to stay away from the ledge against Falcon because Nick M. Whittier, who I do live with, is a Falcon, is very, very good at stealing the ledge.
Yeah.
He has like this super fast thing that always kills me if I try to Chino stall. So I was like, I don't want to do that, but I'll try it. And first thing he did when I started Chino stalling is run into it and get killed. So I was like, oh, I can win this set after all. So every time he forced me to the corner, I'd Shino stall. And if he doesn't force me to the corner, right, then all I have to do is bait him. And I can bait, and he can never really hit me, because if I bait over and over, I don't actually have to give up stage, because he can get nothing when I'm cornered.
Yeah.
And I can get stuff when he's cornered. So that worked out, and I was able to barely beat him 3-2. That was probably my scariest set.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, I can get 9th. Who do I play? Loser of Hacks and Nintendo? Oh, I'm getting 9th. That's fine. That's my best tournament performance by a lot. And I've been rooming with Hacks. Me and him get along pretty well because we both kind of have similar senses of humor, I think.
Yeah.
And we had a lot of fun rooming together. And then I was like rooting for him against Nintendo. I don't want to play Hacks. Although I thought I had a better chance against Hacks actually than Nintendo.
Yeah.
Because I was like, oh, I don't know about Ice Climbers, and Hacks lost to Swedish Delight the week before, like Westfalls. And I play kind of similar to Swedish Delight.
Yeah.
So I usually think that if he beats someone, I'll probably do similarly. So I was like, I can beat Hacks, and then Hacks like destroyed Nintendo. Yeah. That was one-sided. I don't think I could have beat Hacks playing like that.
Yeah, I don't think many people could, if anyone.
So I had to play Nintendo in losers, and so I don't know if people know this, when DizKid Boogie was starting out in NorCal, a lot of people don't like to play friendlies with Ice Climbers.
Why?
But I was totally willing.
Why don't people like playing friendlies with Ice Climbers?
They don't like getting wobbled. They feel like Ice Climbers are stupid and annoying. They'll tell DizKid not to wobble in friendlies, which makes DizKid a much weaker player.
Yeah.
Like a non-wobbling DizKid isn't like not very good. But I would always have him wobble in our friendlies. And it's kind of fun. Like I get wobbled. Sometimes I'll like hit him while he's wobbling and be like, it's like my wobble cancel. But like we played a lot because it doesn't matter who wins friendlies, right? But yeah. I think the wobbling's important. It's important to have your risk reward.
Yeah, well, you need to know that if I get grabbed and
I
get wobbled, then I'm going to die. Whereas if they're
otherwise,
not wobbling,
the fear will mess you up.
Yeah.
And one strength I've always had, I think because my DI is bad, is that knowing that my opponent will kill me off one hit does not scare me that much.
Okay. Because
I've played a lot of Chain Grab Sheik Dittos. I played a lot with Azusa the Peach, who has an Armada punish game against Sheik. And then I played a lot with DizKid Boogie, and he'd wobble me, but I kept neutral. I just played neutral normally.
Yeah.
Because I think against Ice Climbers, if you separate them, if you get good at separating Ice Climbers, your punish game on them is almost as good as wobbling.
Yeah.
Because if you separate them, if you kill Nana off every separation, they're kind of dead, as long as you don't mess up against Sopo.
Yeah, it becomes
and
a lot
Sopo
easier.
can chain grab Sheik, but he can't win neutral against Sheik. So if you play careful and just always respect wave dash in grab, his other options do like 10 damage, and you don't have to really worry about them. Like he wave dash in down smashes you, and nothing really happens. And so Sopo can't do much. So I was actually kind of confident against Ice Climbers, but that didn't seem to help against Chudat. So I was like, okay, Nintendo's also good. I won't win against him. But I guess
I wonder if it was good for you, like going in expecting to lose, and if you got 9th place, you would have been happy anyway, so who cares?
Well, the same thing is, on the other side of the coin, though, I'd expected to lose for 4 sets straight now, and that hadn't been stopping me. So I was sort of believing in the magic at this point. I was like, well, I'll probably lose, but there's like some magic. And I was really focused in. Like, for mentality things, I don't think it really matters whether you think you'll win or lose, as long as you're focused on what's happening in the game the whole time.
Yeah.
Because the best way you can be thinking is always thinking about solutions to problems and what's happening. And as long as you're having no extraneous thoughts, that's fine. You don't need to believe you'll win or believe you'll lose.
Yeah. Well, I guess believing you'll win or believing you'll lose sometimes can get in the way.
Yeah, absolutely. You just don't want to think about whether you'll win or lose. So game 1 against him, I kind of just won, I think. I was ahead most of the game. Game 2, I don't know if you saw that one with the Din's Fire Zelda recovery.
No, I didn't.
Accidentally? No. I was playing Zelda and I accidentally did a Din's Fire Eye, and he just was looking at me and I think didn't know what happened. I got back to the ledge and jumped past him and like shielded a down smash, hit him with a toe, turned back into Sheik and won the game.
Well,
and so at that point I was up 2-0. I'd beaten him on FD, which is almost impossible in Sheik Ices.
Yeah.
When I had to play Chudat on Stadium, which is not even as flat as FD, I got force dogged.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I've really got this. Like my neutral game from playing Diz Kid Boogie is good. I think Nintendo does not have as much experience against Sheiks who'll play a ground game.
Yeah. Most of them want to play in the air.
Because I think most Sheiks are too scared to play ground against Ices, and I'm absolutely not. And so game 3, he beat me. I was like, oh, it's FD. I'll win game 4. Game 4 was on Battlefield, and I flubbed a few things, got shield grabbed, and got wobbled. And I lost game 4, actually. And I was like, oh, like, I could lose this set. Do I need to adapt? Do I need to change anything? And then I thought, like, games 1 and 2, I won with my instincts. Like, I think my instincts are right against Ice Climbers, and I think my conscious ideas in this matchup, I don't have enough.
Yeah. So were you conscious in match 3 and 4, you're being too conscious about it and trying to analyze it too much?
No, I don't think so. I think I just kind of got outplayed in those 2 games.
Yeah.
But I thought if I start trying to consciously analyze what's happening, it will not work. I don't have – my conscious brain can't help me here. I just have to trust my instincts. And then I actually, like, super bodied in game 5.
Yeah.
It was, like, quite one-sided, I think.
Yeah.
And I beat him, and I remember, like, usually people don't cheer for me that much. They don't like Sheik that much. But I stood up and everyone was, like, applauding me.
Yeah.
Like Diz Kid, who was there, ran up and hugged me and was like, you did everything we worked on in the Ices matchup. And even Plop walked up to me and was like, thanks for beating Nintendo, dude. Like, fuck Wobble.
It was kind of like... Awesome. It was kind of at this point that I started noticing you and being like, okay, who is this like Laudandus Sheik player that is like now about to play against S2J? And I remember watching a game against S2J because I'd never heard of you, totally expecting you to lose, and then you won 3-1, and I'm like, who is this guy?
So I was super confident against S2J because for a few reasons. One was all my sets in the past against him had been super close, but I choked them.
Yeah.
So I thought like I could probably win even if I just didn't choke. I'd worked on Falcon much more since last time I'd played him. I beat Gravy, who I think is much better against Sheik than him.
Yeah.
And I live at home with Nick M. Whittier, and Weedlord is often there. Do you know who Weedlord is?
No.
He's a NorCal Falcon. He's like not a very good player, but he's probably the fastest Falcon in the world.
Okay. And
he just like does stupid tech skill the whole game. I've heard people say about him like it seems like he doesn't even want to play against his opponent. He just wants to waveland as fast as he can. And so him and Nick will just sit around talking about how bad S2J is versus Sheik, like all the time.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, he doesn't do this. I can't believe how badly he does this. And so that gave me a lot of confidence, I think.
Yeah.
And some of the things they said I was actually able to use. Like Nick said, S2J ignores crouch canceling. So I just tried crouch canceling and it like usually worked.
Yeah.
And so a lot of so I was just sort of able to win that. And at that point I was like, okay, I've beaten all these other people. This is a player who I should have been beating when these players all should have been beating me. So I think this one it'll go well.
Okay. So
and I was pretty sure I'd win that.
Yeah.
And I won that one.
And then you had
I had to play Swedish again. I was like, oh, I can do this. I just underestimated my winners, and like, I tried to think about what had happened, but I couldn't really figure it out. I figured it out with hindsight, I think.
Yeah.
But he just had the edge on me in cheek goes that day. He did not drop chain grabs, and I did drop chain grabs also on stage, which didn't help.
And what do you think about the Sheik like gentleman's agreement to not chain grab versus just letting the chain grabs happen?
So I've always been an extreme tryhard with that. Although for 2013 and 2014, and like the first half of 2015, I didn't chain grab. Because I said, okay, I know that I can do the chain grab, but I knew the punishes out of non-chain grabs better than every other Sheik.
Yeah.
So let me just do those better than other Sheiks, and it's good for me to do no chain grab. So joke's on you, Shroomed and Kirby Kaze.
Yeah.
I will not chain grab with you. Then I played Kira there was a tournament where Kira beat everyone in Sheik Dittas. He whooped me. Although I was bad at that tournament for unrelated reasons. But he beat me. Then he beat Shroomed in losers, who went Marth to avoid the chain grab and got 2-0'd.
Yeah.
Or 3-0'd or whatever. He got totally whooped. And then he like 3-0'd Kirby Kaze super easily. And I was like, I couldn't beat those people. Those people are so good. And I realized that all these good Sheiks just tilt super hard if someone could chain grab them. And that's why they can't beat Ices. And that's why they want to do no chain grab dittos, and that's why they're scared in the chain grab ditto.
Yeah.
So I said, okay, well, I know that one of my strengths, why I'm okay versus Ices, is that I'm not scared of super strong punishes.
Yeah.
I can still play a normal game when that threat's on
when that's
on the
happening
table.
to you.
So chain grabbing's actually good for me because it'll tilt all my opponents and it won't tilt me.
Yeah.
And so then I switched to forcing chain grabs.
Okay.
The whole time I've been doing what I thought was best for me to win, but I sort of changed my perspective.
Yeah, because you're a person who, when you're in the situation, you're getting wobbled or you're getting chain grabs, you don't get tilted, you don't get angry, you don't your mind doesn't get messed up. You just
I just
fine
kind
with
of
it.
take it. And I think part of the reason for that is I like having unfair advantages. I always sort of have. And whenever I get wobbled, I kind of think, they think I'll tilt from this, but actually I won't. And that kind of makes me happy. That gives me a little boost. It's like I have something that most people don't have here.
Yeah. And so you force, with the gentleman's agreement, you both have to agree to it, right? So if one person wants chain grabs, then chain grabs happens.
There's no tournament rule saying you can't chain grab. So,
yeah,
and that's even better because they kind of don't want to, and they kind of get tilted, and I have a big advantage. I think that's good.
Okay, so you lose to Swedish. You came 5th in pound, which was, very commendable result. What's next for you? What's on the horizon for Laudandus into the future? What big tournaments are coming up?
So
what's your plans?
I'm going to Evo. Flights for CEO were really expensive, so I'm not sure if I'm actually going to go to that. I'm going to check it out. My car just broke, so I don't know if I have the money to also fly to CEO. We'll see. I'm being flown out to a Chicago tournament, Rubicon, in middle of May, where they're also bringing S2J, so I get to see if I can actually solidly still beat him.
Yeah.
That'll be interesting. And I'm not sure. I've just been practicing a ton. I feel like now that I've sort of gotten a lot of my choking issues out of the way, I just have to bring my skill level up.
Yeah.
And my skill level's too low, so I've just been practicing a lot. Because, ultimately, right, I want to be winning tournaments.
Yeah.
So, and until I can play as well as PP, Mango, Armada, even in friendlies, it's not that relevant how I'm doing in tournaments.
Yeah. So
I know I can't win the tournament.
So are you doing Smash full time, or do you have other stuff you do on the side as well?
No, I have a job.
Yeah.
I have a job doing web development, but I work from home and I set my own hours.
Yeah. So you can fit some.
So I do have the freedom to practice a lot if I want.
Yeah. That's the same with me. I work from home, so I have the freedom to practice. Well, I have kids as well. I've got 3 kids as well, so I have the freedom to do a little bit of practice, but not a lot.
Okay. Yeah. So I do have a lot of time to practice, and I am practicing a lot. I really want to break out, be ranked top 10 or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm not that good yet, but I want to get there.
What is it like being where you are now? Hopefully we can look back in this in a year or 2 years or however long it takes, and to see where you were now versus where you are in the future. What do you feel like the climb's going to be like to get to the level where you can be ranked top 10, where you can potentially compete with the gods of Melee? What is it? A steep climb? Is it going to be difficult to do, or is it just an everyday grind?
It's definitely an everyday grind. Improving is really weird, in my opinion. In the past, there have been occasions where right now I'm practicing all my free time, as much as possible. I just want to be really good.
Yeah.
And in the past, I've struggled with burnout after that. Because what'll happen is I'll grind endlessly for 3 weeks. Then I'll play someone I was beating before, and I'm, the same.
Worse.
It's I'll lose sometimes that day.
Yeah.
But then what I realized is sometimes after that, I'll just be crazy good out of nowhere. And that just kind of happens. I don't know what it is with how practice affects you and makes you better, but it's really weird. So I'm not caring about my results. I'm just trying to improve and add new ideas and do things in friendlies, and I don't care if I'm losing the friendlies. I'm really not worrying about that right now. And so I don't know how long it's going to take for things to magically come together and suddenly I'm beating SFAT every game, right? Like, I feel like it'll happen, I just don't know when.
Yeah. So it's going to be a grind, and then
it's going to be
eventually
a grind,
practice in friendlies, and then eventually, hopefully, it'll all click together.
I do think that everyone from 25th to 8th in the rankings has like great glaring weaknesses that I can see.
Yeah.
And I think if I bring my punish game basically up to the level where I can kill them every time I take advantage of those like great glaring holes.
Yeah.
I think I should be able to handle those players quite consistently. But it's a struggle right now. And I have to fix my own glaring holes as well, right?
Yeah.
I can't let them do it back. And I still have a lot of those. And then I don't even know how you go from that to beating the top 7.
Yeah.
Those players, I think, are like crazy skilled.
That's kind of like a bridge you'll have to go over once you get to top 10. Then you'll be like, okay, what's the next step?
Once I'm beating Axe. Well, Axe I actually think is on the level of the top 7, but I think Pikachu is like total garbage. That's something that a sentiment Toph and I expressed like, when we talk to each other about it. It's like when you're playing Axe, it feels like you're playing a god, but he's Pikachu.
So Axe could potentially be god level, but because he's Pikachu, he could be holding himself back.
Well, it's like he has as much skill as a god, but he's Pikachu, and he'd have to get that much skill with someone else.
Yeah.
Which I don't think he does not have.
Yeah.
But he just feels so good. But below that, I think people are like so bad at so many things.
Yeah. Well, it's definitely going to be exciting to watch, and obviously more and more people will be watching the Laudandus name now and watching you, and to see how you go in these sets, and you'll be one of those characters or one of those people that were like, okay, what are they going to do this time? Like, how far is S2J going to go? How far is Laudandus going to go? So your name's definitely out there now, and I'm sure it'll be more and more out there in the future. So we'll probably call it there for time. This has gone longer than expected, but it's been awesome. Okay. It's been awesome talking to you. Awesome hearing your story. I wish you the absolute best in the future. And you were saying you're looking, I saw on Twitter, you're looking for a sponsor right now. Is that right?
Yeah.
So I think we should close this off.
I found something that may be good, so we'll see.
What do you mean? Oh, you potentially found a sponsor?
It's potentially. Well,
okay.
It's not for this interview.
No worries. Okay. That's cool. Well, I wish you the best with finding that sponsor, and hopefully then we can see you at more and more of these big tournaments and see your Sheik performing really well.
Yeah. All right. Thank you for having me. It's been a really fun interview.
Okay, cool. Okay. I'll talk to you soon. Bye. Hey guys, what a great interview with Laudandus. I certainly enjoyed hearing about his backstory, how he got into Smash, and then since 2013, how he's improved and become a better player. Was super excited to see his result in Pound and to learn about him and be like, who is this Laudandus guy? And hopefully we'll see more and more good results from him in the future. And I wish him the best of luck in finding a sponsor who can help him attend more tournaments. So we'll see how that goes, and hopefully in the future we'll see him up there in the top 10, top 5 in the world or something like that. So best of luck, Laudandus. I have a lot more of these Smash stories lined up. I'm going to try and interview as many top players as I can. You can follow along at Melee.co, which is the website, or you can go to Melee.co/YouTube, and it'll redirect you to the YouTube channel so you can go ahead and subscribe over there. I'm also documenting my journey as a Smash player as well, if that's interesting to you. You can also follow me on Twitter at Ryan McLean. That's RyanMclean, and I will be posting over there when videos go live and interviews go live and things like that. And if you have a Smash story that you want to share, whether you're a top player or whether you're just getting into the scene but you love Smash, you want to talk about it, then let me know. Just hit me up on Twitter at Ryan McLean and we'll organize an interview. So thanks again to Laudandus for doing this interview. I look forward to watching him in the future, and until next time, keep calm and play Melee.